what I want to do now is I want to bring up two individuals who have been amazing in our community. They are big contributors in our community, but here's the thing I want you to know about these two individuals. Neither of them are, quote, the expert in their particular membership site. They are not the person that's on the front end teaching. They are not the person who's creating the content. But instead, they still have a successful membership site. So how are they doing it? Well, that, my friend, is what we're going to talk about. So let's bring on Scotty the Body Paley and Joe Criso. Fellas, are you there? Scott, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so we have to kind of put into context. I don't know why, but I started calling Scott Scotty the Body. You'll find that out in Tribe. I love nicknames, and it's just stuck. But Scott, tell us quickly. There you go. Attaboy. Tell us quickly who it is that you serve in your membership.
Sure. So we serve leaders of small nonprofits. So these are people who might be on the staff, they might be on the board, and they desperately need help. And that for years and years, really forever, they really couldn't afford to get the kind of help that they needed. And so I joined together with my business partner, Joe and Gary, who's a very well-known expert in the nonprofit leadership field. And together we built a membership site so that we could serve a large number of these nonprofit leaders at a very, very, very affordable cost.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to rewind and come back to you in just a minute and talk to you about how that kind of came together. But I also want to bring on the one and only Mr. Joe Criso. Joe, are you there, buddy?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we definitely can. Joe, good to see you. How are you?
You too, brother. So good.
Okay, so let's talk to you quickly. Tell us about the market that you serve.
Behind the scenes?
Yes.
We serve new and expectant moms, and we support them on their journey to breastfeed with their baby. That's why I'm behind the scenes, support my wife, which we'll get to in a minute.
Well, it makes sense why you're not the front end expert on this one, Joe.
You don't want me as a face of this business.
Yeah. So in your case, Joe, you partnered with your wife on this. Is that right?
Yeah, we've been on a better together journey for upwards of 18 years now.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna ping pong back and forth with both of you with different questions. Scott, over to you. I want to know, how did the partnership with Joan come to be, and what does your partnership look like in terms of what she does and what you do?
Sure. So it started. I run a digital agency called Abstract Edge, and we've been in business for about 20 years now, and we've been constantly for years and years and years on that client treadmill where you never know what it's going to look like once the current round of projects are over. It's like 6 months down the line, I can't possibly predict what the revenue might be. And that really takes a toll on you, especially year after year after year. And so fast forward to 2012, we got a new client, this woman, Joan Gary, who was looking to build her consulting practice and her brand. And we showed her how to build a platform online. And so over a few years, we had built up a nice sized list. She was getting all this consulting work. She had a blog, she had a podcast. She was getting inundated with questions all the time. And she was doing her absolute best to try to answer as many of them as she could. But this was taking up a larger and larger amount of her time. And it became overwhelming. And so we started talking about, well, how do we solve this problem? Because first off, a lot of the people who were emailing her with these questions, the questions were heartbreaking. I mean, these are, people who are really passionate about solving some wrong in the world. And she desperately wanted to help them, but first off, they could never afford to hire her. She was helping them completely free. And there's only so much of her to go around, right? So she was burning out, and we were trying to figure out how we could move forward in a more leveraged way. And so I actually came to her with the idea of doing a membership site. And this was before I had even heard of you, actually, Stu. And so this was in 2015. So we started, she loved the idea, sounds great in concept. We put a plan together and we started working on it. And then all of a sudden I started getting all these emails from all of your affiliates all at once about this amazing guy, Stu McLaren, who is a genius when it comes to membership sites. And I was like, wait, genius about membership sites? that's kind of interesting, weird timing. Let me look into this a little closer. So I watched your workshop and immediately knew that like half of what I was planning to do was completely the wrong thing to do. And totally, we stopped and we started from scratch based on Tribe. We finally launched in May of 2017, and we were hoping to get 300 members at launch. That was like our goal. 500, we were going to be like out of our minds. We ended up with almost 1,000 members that first week, which was like, oh my, wow, like it was so much bigger than we thought it was going to be. We've been running this thing now for about 2 years, and we've brought in over 4,000 people over those 2 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah, with over 95% retention. And I mean, I completely credit stuff you've taught me in Tribe and the community.
It's absolutely amazing. And when I think about the growth, especially in a market, where people would normally think, well, wait a minute, that market doesn't have a lot of money to be able to spend, it's not worth pursuing. But here you are, you have demonstrated that it absolutely can be a very viable business with thousands and thousands of members, all helping nonprofit leaders. It's such a great story. And I love how you both came together, where Joan, she was the expert. She had, was providing the consulting, was looking to be able to leverage and help more people. And here you are that was helping her run the business and grow the platform, and just like, well, wait a minute, like, why don't we just come together and launch the membership? It's such a great story. Joe, I want to throw it over to you. Like, talk to us about like what you are doing with your wife, Sherry, and what are your roles? How do you guys divide your roles in terms of running and growing the membership?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because when you were talking to Tara, right before she said that, I wrote down what a difference 1 year makes. Everybody who's sitting there saying, like, I don't know, I'm telling you, as somebody a year ago, we had literally, and this isn't a direct answer to your question, but I just got to share this. We had just invested 10 months and tens of thousands of dollars building a membership site that we're so excited to launch. But somebody was like, you got to watch this guy Stu's video. And all of a sudden I realized, like, we just built a really tall ladder against the wrong wall. So we just decided, it was in my gut, like this was so true what you're saying about keeping it simple for them, keeping it simple for you. And what we're doing now is actually really unique, but it's all in the framework of what you've taught. And it's a hybrid of both a B2C where we're teaching moms, but a B2B where we're allowing brands to participate with us. And I help her a lot with the strategy. I help her a lot with relationships. I help her with team. We actually have 2 members in our community that are collaborating with us now, Stu and Sarah. Stu too.
Yeah, nice.
Shelly's helped me a bunch. I've had so many contributors, Scott. So many people along the way have just lent a helping hand, and that's been a huge difference for us, and that's what we try to do with others.
Well, and I want to ask you, because you are doing some very unique things that I believe are really pushing the future of membership sites, and the way that you are working with both B2B and B2C all intertwined into one membership. Can you give some insight into some of the innovative things that you guys are doing inside the membership?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, when you align with a brand that resonates with your style and you're both trying to serve the same audience, you're an incredible asset to them. We've spent years and years doing this type of work, social media influence and private consulting and all those kind of things. But when you can help position them as your recommended product, and the reason why, and you tie it to the education and the timing of where the member is on their journey, so that it's like first they learn about something, then it's like you present the solution and why you chose this particular brand. It's a home run situation because everybody wins. The member gets educated. They don't have to now sort through the internet of information. You're guiding them on a simple path. You're also doing the homework for them to pick out the best brand. the brand is like, go ahead, talk to more people. How can we support you? Either as a sponsor or, advertising channels or commissions or however you want to work with them. And we actually have a really, really big, the number one medical distributor company in the country is just partnered with us. So all the education, all the products my wife educates about, they're going to distribute on the back end.
It's amazing, and I really do believe that there's a massive opportunity for all of us who are running membership sites to be able to think of and utilize, the exact model that Joe is talking about here, where you're getting innovative, buddy. And I want to give you full credit. You guys are blazing a whole new trail in terms of the way that you are blending these two worlds, being able to serve mothers all around the world and helping them being able to breastfeed their babies, but at the same time being able to fund so much of that and provide that sort of experience for those mothers through the businesses that you're partnering with. It's very, very innovative, and I love the way that has blended inside of your membership. Scott, I want to throw it over to you. You guys have grown, as we talked about, so in such a short period of time. What kinds of lessons have you experienced through that growth that you could share with everybody here today?
So basically, when we ended up with that nearly 1,000 members right off the bat, the first thing we did was we said, we don't have a big enough team to handle this. And we immediately started looking to hire to start bringing a team together. And certainly with the recurring revenue that was coming in, we could actually project out to some degree. I mean, we still had to kind of see how retention went. At the beginning, we weren't sure. It turns out it went really well. But in part because our first hire was a community manager. And so we recognized something that you teach in Tribe is that people come for the content, but they stay for the community.
Yes.
And so given that, the first person that we brought in, we thought was critically important, was somebody who would be totally dedicated to making sure that our members have the best possible experience that they can have, so that they're happy with what they're getting, they feel the value, and so they want to stay as long as possible. So yeah, the retention piece has been higher than we expected and has been the key, the absolute key to the success we've had.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because again, it often gets overlooked. We hear about the sexiness of getting more and more members in, but you heard from Matt earlier today. He talked about, like, he was getting members in, but he had a big leaky bucket, and just as fast as they were coming in, they were leaving. And until you close that, plug those holes in that bucket, and once you do, that's when the membership site and the profitability of it really takes off. So you have always had a very high retention rate, and it's been incredible to watch you guys continue to grow the Nonprofit Leadership Lab. Joe, for you, what have been some big lessons that you've learned through the experience of running a membership site?
Never alone again. Really, I mean, you could go so much farther, like you talk about, in collaboration of both ideas and relationships, and just not compromising your value. So many times we've had to be creative and out of the box and trailblaze in certain ways, and because it doesn't follow somebody else's approach, it's hard for somebody to understand what you're offering. But if you believe what you're doing and you hold your vision and you're coming from a place that's like collaborative and you're building something bigger together, you can find a way to make it a win-win so that everybody involved could benefit and you don't have to fight over the pieces of it. So, any ways that you can leverage for motivation, for inspiration, for creativity, for resources, for connections, for strategies. This is the most intense, saturated, juicy experience you could ever go on, in Tribe. I mean, it's like every single day, between your lives, between what's popping off on your own experience, like learning as you're going through it, but then what you bounce off with everyone else. I've done a lot of other things. Nothing comes close to it by miles. So
Well, I appreciate you, Joe. You know, you are very active in the group, always sharing, always contributing, always supporting, and I know our tribe community loves you to bits. Scott, you are very much the same way in the way that you contribute to the community. What for you has really stood out about the tribe experience?
Oh, you just said it. It's the community. You have created a culture, Stu, of people that want to give back. That people who, you know, there's so many marketing opportunities, courses, memberships that are available. This is clearly not the only one out there. But the big difference for me, the biggest difference for me, is the fact that you attract people who are not in this just to make a buck. There's so many people in Tribe, the majority of people that I've met in Tribe are doing this because they want to have a bigger impact on the world. You talk about it all the time. You talk about it on your podcast. And because of that, that's who you attract. So it's just a very different culture than a lot of the other marketing groups that are just much more focused on how do I make the most money possible. And it's hustle, hustle, hustle. And it's, you know, it's just not, it's not the same kind of culture. And it totally comes through in the community and how people show up in the community. It's the most helpful online community I have ever seen.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Scott, for sharing. I want to give you both a chance real quickly as we wrap up. Scott, where can people find out more about what you're doing with the membership?
Sure. So you can learn about the Nonprofit Leadership Lab at, it's going to be really tough to remember, nonprofitleadershiplab.com. Awesome.
And what about you personally? Where can people find you? Because I know you're a behind-the-scenes guy, but how can people find out and get connected with you?
Yeah. So probably the best thing would be to check out my digital agency's website at abstractedge.com. You can learn more about some of what we do there, and all my social media stuff is all there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And Joe, what about you? Where can people find out more about you guys and what you're doing?
Sure. You can learn all about my wife, Shari, her education and her membership through mybabyexperts.com. And you could either drop a contact us message for me or just look at one of the 50 comments I made in this live stream and send me a message on Facebook. I'd be happy to help anyone who's looking for a helping hand.
Well, I appreciate you both. You're both very active, both very supportive in the tribe community. Thanks for jumping on, fellas. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Stu. Really appreciate it.
Listen, what I love about both, Scott and Joe, is that they are not the experts. They are the people who have partnered with the experts to create a highly profitable membership site.